Good afternoon. This is Cindy Conway from the State Ohio SNAP-Ed office. I am going to be recording a Camtasia to illustrate the proper way to fill out the FY14 Ohio SNAP-Ed Excel Monthly Report template file. You will use this file each month to report your programs from Ohio SNAP-Ed. You'll use this file to report all of your programs, whether they are for adults, teens, or youth audiences. The first feature I would like to point out about this monthly report template that's different from what we've seen in the past is that it uses a multi-tab system. Specifically, there are 4 tabs in this document that each tab has a particular program evaluation form associated with it. So the first tab says Program Log, and this is where program log information from any of your programs will be recorded. The second tab is the Adult Demographic and Behavior, as well as Teen Behavior Data tab. This is where you'll enter all of your adult demographics, adult behavior, and teen behavior data. The third tab is the Youth and Teen Demographics Data tab. This tab is where you will enter the group level demographic data for your teen and youth programs. And then the fourth tab is the Youth Behavior Data tab, and this is where you'll enter your youth evaluation pre-test and post-test data. So we'll start with the Program Log tab. I am going to do an adult program example at this point to show you how to use this file to enter adult programming information. With adult programs, we use 3 forms. We use the Program Log form, we use the Adult Demographics form, and then we can also use the Adult Retrospective Survey form. The Adult Demographic form replaces the Participant Questionnaire. It's actually the Participant Questionnaire renamed to be more standardized to the other forms we use to collect information for part of SNAP-Ed programming. You will have your participants fill out an Adult Demographics form at the end of every single lesson, as well as at the end of every session of a series that's not the last session. On the last session of a series, instead of filling out the Adult Demographic form, your participants will fill out a Retrospective Survey form, which has the behavior questions on the front and the demographics information on the back. So let's begin with our example. In this example, I have a 2-session series done with adults at a Jobs and Family Services site, and they were families with children. So I'll begin to enter the information from the program log. There were 0 volunteers for this program. It started at 3 o'clock and ended at 3:45. The date was 10/1. The county, and just to point out, the county's name should be in all lowercase letters and just the first 4 letters of the county name. The facilitator's initials. The data source for determining eligibility in this case was number 1. The audience information is number 1. It's families with children, so the target audience is 1, and it's a direct education with adults. So I have now completed entering the data from part 1 of the program log. So now I'm going to move on to part 2. Since this is a direct education program, I will fill out the pink columns. There were 3 direct contacts. The partner was the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services, and we actually had this program at the Jobs and Family Services office. The code for this delivery site is 9 for SNAP offices. It was a series, session 1. Session 1 of 2. The time was 45 minutes. The topic was My Plate, and the targeted message was be more physically active. At this point, I don't fill out the orange columns because these are for an indirect program. So I have filled out what I need to from the program log on this data tab. And then what I will do now is enter in the participant information from the Adult Demographics form. So I will switch to the Adult Demographic and Behavior and Teen Behavior Data tab. So I'm going to begin entering the first participant's demographic data. Before I do this, there are some cells that get carried over from the program log information, and this is so that we can match up participant responses to particular programs, because certain analyses do require us to be able to have that capability. So again, this information comes from the program log. It was the date of the program was 10/1, Franklin County, and the target audience was families with children. The delivery site was Jobs and Family Services Office, and it was a series, session 1 of 2. The participant number, in this case this is the first participant, who was a female, age 18 to 59, of white race, non-Latino, who indicated she uses food assistance benefits, school breakfast, school lunch, does not use a food pantry. In this particular example, the participant did not complete the rest of this question. And since she did not complete it, I have to input 99s for the missing data. And this is what you should do anytime somebody leaves blanks for this question not filled in. Then looking at the number of people living in the household, she indicated one person age 0 to 4, two persons age 5 to 17, and 2 persons age 18 to 59, 0 age 60 and older. And I have completed entering the first person's demographics, and we'll move on to the second person. And again, this information will autofill, so it does make the data entry process somewhat quicker. This person was a male, age 18 to 59, of white race, who was non-Hispanic, who had used food assistance benefits, did not use any of the other ones except for WIC. He indicated that he had 2 children age 0 to 4, 0 age 5 to 17, and there was 1 adult age 18 to 59. So I have completed entering the second participant's demographic data. Now let's say the third person in my program had failed to send in an adult demographics form. At this point I would be finished. You do not need to enter a row of 99s for a participant who didn't fill in a questionnaire. But in this case I did have a third questionnaire, so I will go ahead and enter this person's information. So this is my last participant, who is a female, age 18 to 59, of African American race and of non-Hispanic ethnicity, who indicates using food stamps, not school breakfast. She does use school lunch, not a food pantry, not a soup kitchen or a senior meal site, or WIC. She indicated she has 2 children 0 to 4, 2 5 to 17, and there are 2 adults 18 to 59. So now I have completed entering all of this first program's data, and at this point I can save my file and be done. Now I'm going to go ahead and enter the second session's data to complete the series on adults. So 0 volunteers. The start time was still 3 o'clock to 3:45, only it was held a week later, again in Franklin County. The eligibility and audience information does not change. The same 3 people came back, and it was again partnered with Jobs and Family Services and held at the Jobs and Family office. This was session 2 of 2. It lasted 45 minutes on my plate, and the teaching message was read labels for salt or sodium content. So, as you can see, when I fill out the program log tab, there's 1 row for each program log. And I am finished with the program log for this program. And again, now instead of demographic behavior on the demographic form, I have the retrospective surveys for my plate. They do get entered on the same tab as the demographics, which is this adult demographic and behavior and teen behavior data tab. The way that the tab is set up, the demographic information comes before the retrospective information. So what I will do to make it easier to enter data is I will actually enter the demographic information on side 2 first, followed by the retrospective data on the first side. So the date is 10/8, Franklin County, target audience is families with children, and now the only difference is it's session 2 of 2. It's okay to restart numbering, and it's okay, participant 1 doesn't have to be the same participant 1 for the series. It just so happens to be the first person who filled out a questionnaire. So this person, flipping over to their demographics, is a female, age 18 to 59, of white race, non-Hispanic ethnicity, who uses food assistance benefits, school breakfast, school lunch, but doesn't use any other assistance benefits. She indicated that there's 1 child 0 to 4, 2 that are 5 to 17, and 2 that are 18 to 59. And now I will flip it back over to the first side and enter her before retrospective data. So from before coming to this program. And you'll see that in this Excel sheet, all of the before questions for a particular content area are grouped together, followed by the corresponding after questions. So for the before, this person entered a 3 that she used my plate to make food choices, 2 for using labels to make better choices, a 2 for physical activity, 2 for using a smaller plate at meal times, 3 for drinking water, and 2 for reading labels for salt or sodium content. And then the after data for this person, she indicated a 4 for using my plate, a 4 for reading labels, 3 for physical activity, 4 for using a smaller plate, 3 for drinking water, and 4 for reading labels for salt or sodium content. And so now I've entered the first person's retrospective questionnaire, and we'll move on to the second person's. And again, for any areas on this, on the participant form that were left blank, you're going to enter 99. So my second participant indicated that they are male, age 18 to 59, of white race, non-Hispanic ethnicity, who uses food assistance benefits, and WIC. There was 2 children 0 to 4, 0 children 5 to 17, and 1 person age 18 to 59. And moving on to the retrospective on the front page, this person's pre-test scores were 2, 3, 2, 3, 2, and 3, and their after scores were 3, 4, 4, 4, 3, and 3. So I have now completed entering the second person's, and we'll move on to the last person's. And this person was a female, age 18 to 59, of African American race, non-Hispanic ethnicity, who uses SNAP benefits, school lunch, and that is all. She has 2 children 0 to 4, 2 5 to 17, and there are 2 adults 18 to 59. And flipping back over to the front page, her retrospective data show 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, and 3, and then 5, 5, 5, 4, 4, 5. So now I've completed the data entry for this adult series with Jobs and Family Services. Going back to the program log tab, let's say this program assistant at a later day left a stack of newsletters at the local WIC office. That would be an indirect program, and I will show you how to enter an indirect program. There's only one tab used for indirect programs, and that is the program log. And furthermore, we only report indirect programs for adult audiences. So this person had 1 volunteer assist, and for indirect programs you don't have to fill in a start and end time because that information is not as pertinent. And so this indirect program was on 10/15, and it was agency income verification for WIC, income-based eligibility, the target audience was families with children, and this was an indirect education. Because it's indirect, we will skip these pink columns that correspond only to direct education programs. And this program assistant did distribute a newsletter to WIC. So, none of these other types of materials were used, and her she will put in that she left 50 newsletters, assuming one newsletter per participant, and she counted them. So this is how I would fill out this indirect program. Now let's say the same program assistant did a community event. They set up a booth at a fair. So they had 2 people assist them, and maybe this time she'll fill in that she was there from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. And this one was on 10/16, and this was a community fair at, say, a community center. So it's a low-income zip code. It was a location-based eligibility, and the targeted audience was, again, let's say families with children, and so it was an indirect education because it didn't satisfy the definition of a direct education. We will skip the pink columns, and as part of this person's booth, they had fact sheets, they had calendars, and they had recipes. So these are the materials I used. You can either leave the ones you didn't use blank, or you can put in zeros. It's your choice. Now, because I had multiple items used as part of this program that was done as a community event, I will report the number of participants, say 125, under column AG, and my data source again is a 1 because I know that I interacted with 125 people. So this concludes the module for entering adult programs into the FY14 Ohio SNAP Ed Excel Monthly Report template. There's also a sample report template available on the website for you to look at. If you have any questions about how to enter data, please contact Cindy Conway at conway.113@osu.edu. Thank you.